Hi TLDF family, it's Dr. Roz, and I'm so excited to be able to bring you our blog in video format. Kill and I have been wanting to do this for quite some time, so I'm glad that we're launching this week. Now, you know it's the Fabulous Female Fridays, so let's go ahead and get into this week's topic. Why is marriage so hard? I don't think there's one answer that can answer that. I mean, we're different people, we come from different backgrounds, experiences, we have different personalities, and our perceptions are vastly different. So when you mix all that together, I think there's bound to be some difficulties in situations. But I think that we should talk about some things that probably are not talked about as much or people don't mention as much. And this first one, ladies, this is really for you. Plan your marriage with the same, zeal that you plan your wedding. Because oftentimes we get so caught up in the glitz, the glamour, the dress, the cake, the venue. Trust me, I was there. So, I'm not blaming anyone or faulting anyone because I did the same thing. But now that I know better, I can do better, which is why I'm sharing with you. We get so caught up in those things that we don't spend the time thinking about what the marriage is going to look like. I mean, I was a girl that planned my wedding at 5, I'm sure. Asked my mom, could the president come to my wedding? I mean, yeah, I was that little girl. Mind you, with no groom in sight. Didn't know who I was marrying, but I knew one day I would be married. That was the goal. So knowing that I wanted to be married, you would have thought that I would have planned my marriage. However, I didn't. And so, my first piece of advice is probably for us women. Sit down with your husband because he's probably not going to really be into the whole planning process anyway, and probably, probably doesn't realize that, it's not just your day, it's his day too, because everybody makes the hoopla about the bride. But if you guys, if you can go to premarital counseling or, see, a therapist, a marriage counselor, to talk about what you want your marriage to look like, I promise you it will save you a lot of distress in the long run. So ladies, first thing is let's plan our marriages as well as planning our weddings. So, that we can ensure that our marriages do last a lifetime. We spend so much time planning that one day, and then we negate the rest of our lives, which is the marriage. So remember, the wedding is one day, and the marriage is for a lifetime, if you're lucky. So, ladies, let's do that. And if there's some fellas out there that are groomzillas, as they call them, you might want to take that piece of advice as well. I promise you, it will help you in the long run. Secondly, what we don't talk about is the shedding of our single lives. Any marriage is going to have 3 lives. That's going to be in conflict. That's going to be your life, your spouse's life, and then the life that you're trying to build together. And oftentimes it's very hard to shed our lives, shed our single lives, So, when you have to talk about finances or talk about where you're going to live or making decisions about your career, it's so much easier when it's just one person, when you only have to factor yourself. But now that you have to factor a spouse, it becomes like this big pull. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is that, which one is important. Do you want to continue nurturing your single life? Or do you want to nurture the life that you want to have together with your mate? And if you choose to want to continue to nurture your single life, then you might as well stay single. You'll be a whole lot happier. Because honestly, if you're trying to still nurture a single life while in a marriage, there is going to be conflict. There's no way around it. So secondly, I think we have to decide which life do we truly want to nurture. Which life is truly important to us? Is that going to be the life that we share with our mate? Or is that going to be the single life that we are so desperately trying to hold on to? And don't get me wrong. Listen, don't get me wrong. I still take my yearly girls trip with my best friends. I still, do a multitude of sorority events or girls' night out. So it's not like you have to give up your life. But maybe if you were that person that was in the club every weekend, once you get married, obviously that's not going to work. So maybe you can, go down to once a month. You still get the opportunity to go out. So compromise is such a huge thing, and it's something that you totally have to learn in terms of trying to nurture the life that you want to have with your mate. And speaking of the whole nurturing aspect, the third thing that I would like to talk about is our emotional needs. Marriage was designed for us to depend on each other, not for us to be independent within a relationship. And basically what that means is that I am to solely focus on trying to fulfill my husband's needs, and he is to solely focus on trying to fulfill my needs. And if that's the case, everybody's needs gets met. Which sounds like an easy plan, but trust, and I'm guilty of it. It's not that easy at all. My poor husband, because he is married to a psychologist, I'm very good at communicating my needs and what he's not doing and what I think I need. And then one day I just had to really ask myself, like, do I ever even ask him if I meet his needs? And so then I opened the conversation, and then I realized that I wasn't doing such a great job like I thought I was. But I was very happy that we were able to have that honest communication, because here I was thinking that I was being, the greatest wife and doing so much in my mind, keeping score about I've done this for him, I've done that for him, did this for him, did that for them. Can I get a little reciprocation? And, and who's to say that he probably wasn't doing the same thing, because we both have made great sacrifices for each other. So who's to say he probably wasn't doing the same thing and feeling the same way? And listen, another thing, what I learned from that is when you keep score in your marriage about who's doing this and who's doing that, then ultimately what you're doing is trying to win. And in a marriage, if you're trying to win, that means your spouse loses. And since you are supposed to become one in a marriage, if your spouse loses, then that means the relationship will lose as well. So that was really an eye-opener for me not too long ago, to be honest with you. So that's why I'm sharing this information with you, because it was such a great aha moment that I think the world just should know. That try to focus on each other's needs as opposed to being so concerned about your needs. Because when you're so concerned about your needs, you are ultimately neglecting your spouses. So my challenge for you guys this week is to meet your spouse's needs just for a week and see if there's a shift in the relationship and see if there's a change. You might be surprised with what may take place. Listen, I thank you for listening. I thank you for joining me on Fabulous Female Fridays. I hope that you'll come back next week. Make sure you check out Kill for Male Mondays, and you know that you can always reach us at tilldeathinfo.com. Again, thank you for allowing me to try to help you be the ambassador for your relationship. Have a good one.